Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition. So here's the thing, guys. I went to Mexico with the kids and I have makeup on, but you wouldn't know it because I've tanned so friggin' well that like my contour is the same color as my bloody face. I'm looking all fresh faced, even though there's some makeup on, and my nose burnt. Oh God. You know what? That happens when you are what we call a café au lait. So that is half coffee, half milk. It's like the white came out. I don't got enough melanin in my skin from burning. So I got a burn on my nose. My cheeks got burnt a little bit. Tops of my shoulders got burnt a little bit. I don't burn. Like the last time I went to Mexico, I didn't burn. And then this time, I don't know. Je ne sais quoi. So it is what it is. Anyways, had a great time in Mexico. Took the kids. So buyer beware. Don't go third party. That was a fucking mistake. I, although have to put myself a little bit on blast here because I made a really stupid choice. I decided I was going to help out my friend that was coming with us and put my daughter on her itinerary so she could get a better deal. And that was a fucking bust. So had to do a lot of rerouting. Thank you to WestJet for the employees in the Mexican airport that helped make sure my daughter got home with me and my son and overrode some shit. But there was a problem so that they could actually overwrite it. There was what we call, or what they call in the airport, an IROP situation. And to my really good friends, Greg and Mandy, thank you so much for helping me. I love you both to the moon and back, making sure that, we are like a family. We are like, they're my neighbors a few doors down. We have codes to each other's door. My dog loves them. My kids love them. I love their kids. They love my kids. Like Greg was ready to hightail it up to Toronto in case my daughter ended up there on her own. I'm just so blessed that so many people love my little girl as much as they do. She is the apple of my eye and I adore her to pieces. I adore my son as much as I adore my daughter, but my son is more like me, like you can't love kids the same. You can love them the same amount, just differently. Like I love my kids differently. My daughter is like, she's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like high anxiety, She's like, oh my God, the sky is falling, Mom. Like this guy is looking at me. I'm at the store and I'm like, yeah, people look at people. That's what happens. My son's like, Mom, Jocelyn's freaked out. You better come get us. But I'm good. I take him out. I'm like, you're 11. Like, shut up. You ain't doing shit, bro. But he's cute. He's more like his mama. He's happy. He's like, Mama, we could go to Toronto. I want to be there. It's kind of interesting. My son does resemble his father's side a little bit more. People, when they see my kids, know that they're mine, but he does. I find that I see more of his dad's side in my son, but he's got mom's attitude through and through. And then my daughter is like a mini me, much lighter because my kids are 75% Caucasian, 25% Caribbean. And she's more of like the introvert, like, I'm going to bust some heads, but I'm going to think about it. I ain't going to say nothing. But then she gets mouthy. Like she gets this like little like surge of confidence and then she gets mouthy. And I'm like, when I was a kid, they were like, you better be able to take a hit if you gonna talk shit. So I know times are different now and everybody's like, we're all going to talk shit on the internet. And then like, there's, and I know some of you will appreciate this because I'm this old, but there's that part in the movie Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where these little kids were like talking shit online and then they got a whole bunch of money from the movie and like inside the movie itself, they made a movie, I'm sure. For those of you that have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And then they go through the list of all these shit talkers and show up at their door, don't care how old they are, and beat the shit out of them. And I'm like, I wish. That's where that phrase, money talks and bullshit walks. I got enough money to kick your ass and pay the lawsuit. So here we go. And I'm just like, man, that's goals, I want to have enough money for every person that talks shit. I could go beat up and pay enough money to a lawyer to get me off. Like that. That's inspiring. God, if all of us could do it. But anywho, it is what it is. So I was in Mexico and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have a podcast dropping. Holy shit. And I couldn't see anything on my phone when I was trying to just, and I was hanging out with my kiddos. It was their trip. And we had a great time, by the way. Like, we had a great time. Even though there's a few things that were a bust, at the end of the day, I fucked up as a parent. You got to own shit. But you know what? When you call in your support systems and everybody fucking jumps in and tries to rework things and make things happen, it's amazing what can happen. And, some people said to me, I'm just going to sidebar this real quick. Lisa, go to WestJet and, throw in a complaint, let them know you want some money back. You want to know what? My biggest point of contention was having my daughter with me to fly home. Okay. My flight was delayed. Their Dreamliner that was supposed to come in and pick all 350 of us up from Mexico to go home ended up getting rerouted. That's what we're pretty sure happened. And shit happens. Okay. It's an airline. It happens, and the airliner that went down, what I mean by that is that it needed to go in for maintenance. And you know what? Let's be honest, folks. If your guys are flying, you want those planes going in for routine maintenance. You want those planes landing or doubling back if there's a maintenance issue. We are how many thousands, tens of thousands of feet in the air, with our life in the hands of a pilot. And if a pilot is like, this doesn't feel right, we need to double back. This needs to get figured out. You know what? I would want to be on that plane too, where a pilot says, no bueno, let's turn back, let's land, and let's get this figured out. So everyone wants to get home safely. So I'm not mad at WestJet. I'm really not. I'm going to give a shout out to the agents that are in the WestJet, both in the Pearson's Airport in Toronto and also in Mexico. And then my homegrown ones in Alberta that were, fighting for me here. God bless all of you. I love you all. You guys are great. You guys did great. But, shit happens. So my biggest point of contention was making sure my daughter was with me because she was on another reservation because I'm a moron, or I'm just nice, but nice to a person, not realizing how it could gamble my child. So my fault. You want to come on blast. That's cool. I'm throwing myself there. Like I'm not going to lie to you. The amount of stress, I'm not someone who gets high anxiety and a lot of stress. I'm pretty good at maneuvering in chaos, but that was a fucking low point for me. I was almost in tears on my way to the airport in Mexico, thinking like, I can't let my daughter go to Toronto. She doesn't know her family out there. My brother's about 3.5, 4 hours away. I tapped my cousins in Toronto, a friend of mine. So he'll be coming on soon. His name's Greg. He'll be coming on. He's a trucker, and his trucking dispatch, or I should say headquarters, is in Ontario. It's in the Ontario area, and he was in London waiting to find out, like London, Ontario, waiting to find out what was happening if Jocelyn was flying in. My significant other was ready to, get her home. Everybody was ready to get her home. My problem is this girl is she does not have the bandwidth at 14 years old with the amount of, anxiety, mommy separation, this, that, and the other thing, to be able to go through customs. Even though she's on Canadian soil, her nerves would be shot. And I don't know if she'd ever fly again. And I was terrified for her. She's a very sensitive girl. And so I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My son at like 11, I'd be like, yeah, go to Toronto, have fun, punk. He'd be like, I'm taking a Raptors game, Mom. This is balls. I'd be like, oh yeah. So, but I prayed to the universe, because that's what I do. I'm not a God-fearing woman. I'm a universe person. So, with the crystals on my chest, praying. No, just kidding. But I did. I prayed as hard as I possibly could to the universe. I said, of all the shit that could go, whatever I need, I just need her with me. I don't care where I end up. I don't care if I end up in Winnipeg. As long as I'm on Canadian soil, I don't give a shit. We'll get home. Like, just send me wherever, but I want her with me. And the agents made it happen. So when people were like, hey, Lisa, hit up WestJet, I was like, you know what? WestJet did their job. I got rerouted to Toronto, even though I'm from Calgary. And Toronto and WestJet paid for our hotel, which was great. We stayed at the Sheraton in Toronto. And like, when you've stayed in a bed in Mexico for like 7 days and then you get to the Sheraton on Canadian soil, you're like, oh my God, this is heaven. But no disrespect, just spitting facts. And it was, so we went and stayed at the Sheraton's, covered by WestJet, paid for our meal. We went to, we got in so late that we just kind of went to bed pretty much. We were exhausted. But I had my girl with me. My friend flew back early. She was able to make it into Calgary earlier. She did get rerouted to Toronto as well. And then my kids and I flew out from Toronto into Calgary the next day at around 1:50 p.m. And we got home and we're fine. Like, I mean, for me, it's just a matter of getting out. But like I said, the Mexican WestJet agent, thank you so much. She, ran circles. She was with me for half an hour trying to get this figured out. And the third party, which is Red Tag and then Sunwing, there's so much red tape with them that she finally got pissed off because they were flying through WestJet. She was able to override what she needed to in order to not only get me into Canada, but then to make sure my daughter was flying with me on the flight home from Toronto to Calgary and put us all in the same row. And so she worked her little magic. I watched those little fingers just fly, and I was like, and I thanked her so much. But she was amazing. So she was the manager over at the WestJet location in Mexico, Cancun. She's lovely. I don't remember her name. It was a very pretty name and I probably would butcher it. So I'm not even going to try, but she was amazing. But yeah, so anyway, so that's that. So Greg's coming on in a couple of days here. What are we today? Yeah, we're Monday because I'm going to drop this today. So he's coming on Wednesday. So I got my little trucker friends. Fun fact, guys. Fun fact. Truckers are not a trade. You guys are probably like, yeah, duh, Lisa. And I'm like, yeah, fuck, I thought for sure. Like, you're a professional driver. It's a skilled trade in my brain, but apparently no. But we joke about that, Greg and I. So it's a good thing. So Greg is one of my very good friends. Him and his wife and his two boys are just, I love them to the moon and back. I would do just about anything for those guys, as they would for my family. So he's fun. We talk about something. We might hurt some feelings, might offend some people. That's how we roll. I do live in redneck Alberta, so it is what it is. The elections are coming up. So not that I want to get political because I'm kind of in a weird headspace right now, but vote. That's all I'm going to say to you. Just fucking vote. I don't care what you vote. I care what I vote. And I know, and I've told you all, and I'm not scared to say it, that I'm a liberal, and I am. I'm a liberal in Alberta, and people will be like, what are you doing? Danielle's done such good things for us. I'm like, do you know what? I know a lot of Albertans that could tell you that they don't agree with that. But I'll also tell you a lot of Albertans that don't agree with a lot of other things. My significant's calling me. I'm just going to talk to him in a minute. But here's the thing. If you don't vote, I don't think you're not allowing your voice to be heard. If you are 18 years old and older, vote. That's it. Vote. That's your voice. And you know what? We're all in the same spot, guys. Who do we choose? I mean, at the end of the day, they're all fucking liars on some level. They all promise shit. It's campaigning. It's like that joke. I was telling people this joke. I think I told it once on my podcast. Maybe I tell it again because we're so close to elections. But okay, here's my joke. Politician dies. He goes up to St. Peter. St. Peter says to him, what happened? How'd you die? Blah, blah, blah. Tells him, he says, I'm a politician. He's like, oh, you're a career politician. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, we treat you guys differently up here. And he goes, oh, okay. He says, you spend one day in heaven, one day in hell, and then you choose. He's like, what? He's like, yep, that's how it goes. So the politician spends one day in heaven, and heaven is, it's kind of boring. It's like, it's beautiful, green, lush grass, everywhere. People just like chilling. It's super chill, but it's like, it's kind of fucking boring, right? It's heaven. And he's like, okay, whatever. Spends the day there. It's nice. It's nice. It's calm. It's tranquil. It's easygoing. People get along. It's all good. He goes down to hell, right? And he's thinking to himself, oh my God, this is going to be fucking horrible. Of course I'm going to go to heaven, right? Goes to hell. There's the devil, 3-piece suit, looking great. Doesn't smell like brimstone. There's no pits of lava. There's no people screaming for eternity. There's nothing, no bullshit, right? And he just opens the door and nothing but golf courses and like all-inclusive resorts, beautiful women, all the things. And the politician looks at the devil. He's like, what the hell is this? He's like, I thought for sure this was going to be a shit show. Like there was going to be like the smell of brimstone. There was going to be like pits of lava, people screaming, like eternity of like beating and whatever. And he's like, no. He's like, you got to remember, I'm someone who wants you to sin. So if you sin, then you come here, you can just keep doing your sins because that's what we do, right? He's like, so your sins are what? Like infidelity and, drinking and this and that and the other thing, right? All those things. And he's like, oh, so he stays, plays, 18-hole round of golf. He's having a great time, goes out and he's jumping in the pool and hanging out with beautiful women and doing his thing, spends the night with a beautiful woman. Next morning, wakes up back at St. Peter. And he says, okay, what do you want? And he's like, I can't believe I'm going to say this. He's like, but I'm going to choose hell. And he's like, okay. So he's like, poof, goes down to hell. There's the devil standing there in his little 3-piece suit, opens the door, smells like brimstone, lava, people screaming for like eternity of hell that's going to happen to him. He's like, what the fuck happened? He's like, yesterday we were campaigning. Today you voted. So I like that joke because it's fucking true. So anyways, guys, you know what? Like I said, get out there and vote. I had a great time in Mexico. I'm glad you guys got a chance to hear my girlfriend, Darcy. She dropped last Wednesday. She is an absolute gem. She came and stayed at my house and hung out with my pets, my fur babies. So kudos to her for being such an amazing person. And I love you, Darcy. And thank you for staying with my animals. She brought her cat, Willow. And Willow did great here. So yeah. I'm excited for Darcy to come hang out in the summer. We're going to put the pool up and have some fun. Anyways, you guys, have an amazing, lovely day. Don't do anything crazy. And I'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.